Sir Sadiq Khan. I mean, that's a joke. He's at it again. What is it with these people? If anything is not to their liking, they blame the far right. Here he is, calling people who disagree with his ULEZ scheme in outer London far right.
What I find unacceptable, though, is some of those who've got legitimate objections joining hands with some of those outside who are part of a far-right group who are...
And only the other day, Sir Keir Starmer blamed the grooming gang outrage on the far right.
Phillips does not need me or anybody else to speak on her behalf. But when the poison of the far right leads to serious threats to Jess Phillips and others, then in my book, a line has been crossed.
So out of touch. Despite the Labour administration's very shaky relationship with the Trump camp following a high-profile spat with Elon Musk and a number of insults previously made by several of his cabinet, Sadiq Khan has decided to stick his oar in as well, further inflaming tensions. Sir Khan suggested that Donald Trump was part of resurgent fascism haunting the West. He said the hard right and far right are on the march. These are desperately worrying times, especially if you're a member of a minority community. For goodness sake, what is he talking about? He clearly hasn't done his research. Not only did Donald Trump win the political vote, he also won the popular vote as well. Ethnic minorities voted for him in their droves. They deserted the Democrats. It was a victory, it was a landslide for the Republicans. Now, when asked about Sadiq's comments, Labour Cabinet Minister Darren Jones said, "I don't agree with it. I speak on behalf of the government and we don't agree with it." He went on to say President-elect Trump won an enormous election victory in the United States as a democracy. We support democracy and the American people elected Donald Trump and the Republican Party. Exactly. Dame Priti Patel, Shadow Foreign Secretary, she said, "It's really not for politicians in other countries to start making disrespectful and disparaging comments about President-elect Trump. I'd urge Keir Starmer's government to step up to the plate right now. Start good, strong, solid negotiations into interactions with the Trump government rather than making disparaging remarks, as we've just heard from Sadiq Khan and previous remarks that have been made by Labour ministers." May I make a suggestion, Sadiq? Knife crime is at an all-time high in the capital. Only the other day, a 14-year-old was stabbed in cold blood on a bus, one of a few stabbings over the past few weeks in our once great capital. And, of course, a murderer who featured on the BBC was put back behind bars for breaching his conditions after a music video of him bragging about his crime showed he was in Greenwich, a borough he is banned from, in London. Attacks on women and girls have skyrocketed in our great capital. How about you focus on that? And it's impossible to get a straight answer from him as well. Here's Susan Hall confronting Sadiq about grooming gangs in London.
So are you saying we haven't got the same sort of gangs that are in Rotherham, Bradford and lots of other places in the country?
Just for your misunderstanding, what does she mean by that?
You know full well what I mean by that. It's all over the television. You know exactly what I mean by that. These gangs of people that are grooming young girls for sex. Do we actually have those in London?
I'm unclear, Chair, what is meant by the question. If you could spell it out, I can answer.
I've just spelt it out. Are you not listening? It's the sort of gangs that groom young girls at a young age for sex. Exactly how much clearer do you want me to be?
It's painful, isn't it? Sadiq, how about you get on with cleaning up the capital city that you are in charge of? London. Remember that? A city that is becoming lawless and falling apart under your guidance before our very eyes. Rather than criticising people and calling everyone far right who doesn't agree with you, shouldn't you be focusing on the capital, on London? It's embarrassing. People in glass houses really shouldn't be throwing stones. But before we get stuck into the debate, here's what else is coming up today. First of all, the hostages, the first of them have been released, including a British-Israeli girl named Emily Damari. Now, they've been released by Hamas and have been received by the Israeli army as part of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, and I will bring you the latest reaction to that developing story. Coming up in the Great British Debate this hour, I'm asking, should Netanyahu resign, over his handling of the conflict? Although the ceasefire is in place and hostages have begun to return, many are still pointing at the failures of the Israeli Prime Minister at preventing the October 7th attacks in the first place, and of course the high personal cost of the conflict. So for the Great British Debate, I'm asking, should Netanyahu resign over his handling of the conflict? And in World View, we will cross live to the United States ahead of Donald Trump's return to the White House and speak to the host of the Politics People podcast, Paul Dudridge. All of that is on the way. Send me your thoughts, post your comments, gbnews.com/your say. But first, I'm joined by Labour activist and writer Aisha Ali Khan. Aisha, now, of course, the Israel military have... what are your thoughts? You've heard what I had to say about Sadiq Khan and his comments, which I don't know why he bothered with them right now. The Labour Party have distanced themselves from him. Are Labour, and he is obviously part of the Labour government, does he need to step back and stop talking in this way?
Well, hi, Nana. Thank you for having me on again. You've got to understand the relationship between Donald Trump and Sadiq Khan, the spat that they've been having. It's not just a recent thing. It's been going on since 2015 when Donald Trump still was obviously campaigning, and he made comments about imposing a Muslim ban on the US if he was elected. And since then, there's been a lot of toing and throwing, comments made, jibes, and so on. And I think that obviously Sadiq Khan, when he when Donald Trump was banned from Twitter, he actually came out and said that the amount of racist abuse that he had been receiving prior to Donald Trump's ban had been absolutely vile. And it was the first time since Donald Trump's ban that actually he wasn't receiving as much abuse. So he actually felt that with Donald Trump in office and using his platform as president, but also on Twitter and other platforms, he was encouraging racist attacks. He was encouraging abuse directed towards not just Sadiq Khan, but other Muslims as well, other minority groups, and so on. So I do feel that Sadiq Khan feels he is justified in his ongoing kind of having these spats, making online comments about each other, and he always gets a reaction from Donald Trump. So Donald Trump can't stay quiet either. So there's always a reaction there as well. I think, obviously, going forward, Donald Trump is going to be president again, and the next 4 years are going to be challenging. We've already had a taste of what it was like under his presidency for 4 years, and we kind of know the kind of people that have supported him, people that, far right, alt-right.
Oh, you as well. Come on, come on. Listen, that's not. No, I can't. No. Aisha, he won. No. I've listened. No, Aisha, let me speak. No, because you uttered the words. You yourself have just said that the people who supported him are far right. Now that some of them maybe, but some of the people may be far left who are supporting Sadiq Khan. Some of the people can be anything, but this far right thing. Donald Trump won the popular vote as well. Ethnic minorities, black, white, women, everybody voted for him. It was a landslide, okay?
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying that this... Sorry, no, because I'm going to finish. You stop interrupting and I will finish this. It is this lazy politicking where people suddenly label people who have a different opinion to them far right. And you've just done it. And I just think, really, seriously, what is the far right to you? What is somebody who's from the far right?
Well, first of all, I said some of the supporters.
Well, you just said that now, yeah.
No, I said it at the time as well. Some of the supporters that supported Donald Trump and have supported him all along are members of the alt-right, the far right in the US, and they have been emboldened. I mean, look at the sort of events that happened. People dressing up in the Ku Klux Klan outfits, blacks being attacked, people being reported, racism on the increase, and so on. And just kind of, you just mentioned that all this, there was a huge increase in the ethnic minorities voting for Trump, and I totally agree with that. I totally accept that. I've looked at the figures, I've looked at the sort of analysis as well following the election, and one of the things I wanted to point out, and obviously we mentioned this in the lead up to this to our piece now, that the ongoing Israel-Gaza, well, hopefully the ceasefire has begun and it's going to continue. But the war had made a massive impact. Lots of Muslims turned away from the Democrats, turned away from Biden, and obviously Kamala as well, because of their ongoing support for Israel and the lack of condemnation. So Donald Trump ended up receiving a lot more support because obviously his stance was, we need to end the war, we need to bring the hostages home and bring Hamas to justice, which is everything I agree with, by the way. So I think a lot of this is, there's the rhetoric, and this is why I started with this kind of ongoing relationship, this ongoing spat between Sadiq Khan and Donald Trump. It's not something that's just happened overnight. There's a long history behind it, and it's been well documented. And obviously, Nana, as you know, I was part of the Women's March to London that were the organisers for one of the biggest protests, the Women's March protests that London had seen in 2019 ahead of Donald Trump's visit. And again, comments were made, remarks were made, and one of the sort of groups that we worked with flew a blimp of Donald Trump wearing a nappy.
Yes, I remember that.
It was good fun, and again,
it's offensive, though, isn't it? I mean,
it was. Look, at the time, if you're going to aside, if you're going to enter politics and you're going to, meet people and so on, you cannot be this sensitive. You cannot be this.
Well, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Aisha, listen, I'm running out of time.
For being so super sensitive.
Listen, Aisha, we're running out of time. It's so good to talk to you, as ever.